All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I've got a special guest with me. He's been on the show before, but welcome to the show again, Colton Underwood.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to
Uh,
join you again.
yeah, how you doing?
Doing great. Life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing as good as you can right now. It's a Monday too. On top of
It's a
it.
Monday, right? And there's just a lot going on in the world for everybody.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
one
but
way to put it.
you, yeah, but you specifically have been on a quite a unique journey the last couple of years, especially maybe just the last year since I last saw you.
Yeah,
I was just telling you before we recorded, the last time I saw you, you didn't have a son.
I know. No, yeah, it's my boy dad hat. So,
Yeah, nice. I
but
love it. So for people who maybe aren't necessarily like in your world as often as other people are, can you just give us a brief like synopsis of what the last year's been like for you?
yeah, so my husband and I, after we got married, I mean, I should say it was sort of all ran parallel just because family planning for same-sex couples obviously takes some you need to be a little intentional about it. So we were on our fertility journey for about 2 years, and we welcomed our little boy Bishop about 4 months ago. And he's the best thing that's ever happened to us. He's the happiest baby. I didn't think that I could love anybody as much as this. I think I said that too when I met Jordan, but now now that I have Bishop, I could say it in a whole different meaning and way. He's the best, and Jordan and I are now dads.
Wow, I love it. That's so cool. And yeah,
Yeah,
every time I see him on your Instagram, he always looks so happy and chill, just like having the time of
he
his life.
really is. It's not just an Instagram thing, I promise you. Like he's always smiling, always giggling, having a good time. I mean, don't get me wrong, like he's a baby, so obviously when he's hungry and overtired, he gets a little cranky and a little moody, but other than that, he's perfection.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. He's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I want to kick us off in this conversation with what has being a dad been like for you? What kind of curveballs have been there? What kind of surprises or like has it been challenging? What's been your favorite part? I want to hear any of the, yeah, you can
Yeah, I mean, I think I was a little nervous for the newborn phase. I think I just was really intimidated, and I didn't really know how I was going to do when he was that small. And also, like, there's a learning curve. Like, you can read all the books you want, look at all the YouTube videos, spend time with other people's kids, but once it's like your child, your baby, it gets real really quick. And I think I really surprised myself. Even Jordan mentioned it. He's like, you need to be proud of yourself. Like it just really kicked in. And I think that was a huge surprise. But my maternal, whatever you want to call it, instincts kicked in. And so did Jordan's. And it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Wow, fascinating. I love it. So, in what ways did you notice? Maybe it's easier to answer for Jordan than for you, but like how did you watch him shift from being whoever he was to like paternal instincts kicking in?
I mean, I think you just sort of your priorities shift in life, right? Like, you always hear it. It's like I would throw myself in front of a bus for this person. And it's like, metaphorically, you always sort of say it as a throwaway. But like that's the truth when you have a baby. And it's like you're doing everything you can to protect him. And now every decision that we make in our lives, whether it's business, personal, financial, anything, it's sort of in the mind of like, I have a family, I have a son, what's going to be the best for him? And I think that's sort of like the aha, moment for us.
Yeah, nice. I love it. When my niece was born, I went to the hospital and when I held her for the first time, like 5 years ago, I was surprised. I had this like emotional, physiological, like
Yeah.
I felt myself like shifting as a human. It was really strange, but I was like, am I making this up? Is this like psychosomatic or like is something actually happening to me? As I was holding this baby, I felt like I dropped to another like depth of being a human being and that there was a
Yeah.
capacity to care for another person that I hadn't experienced before. And I was like, what is happening? It was so strange. And this is just my niece. Do you
Right.
feel like that's what you were describing?
Oh yeah, I mean Jordan and I say it all the time. Like, and as someone who has been on medication before for anxiety and depression, he is our human Xanax. Like you hold him and feed him and spend time with him, and it's like it's sort of like this breath of air, and
Hmm.
that's just sort of been my overall takeaway so far.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so obviously you live a pretty public life.
Yes, yes.
Like you're living life in the public eye, and lots of people get to see and have opinions about your life.
Yep.
My first question on that front is how has your audience responded and like shown up in light of Bishop entering your life?
I think my audience and followers specifically have been great. I mean, they've been on this journey with me. I think it was a little whiplash for them, obviously coming out of the pandemic and coming out, my Netflix show coming out after the majority of them discovered me and or found me and started following me from the Bachelor franchise. But the ones that mean a lot to me and are there for me are kind and patient and empathetic and understanding. And I think those people really have been super supportive and super nice. And I mean, I could say that on one hand, and then on the other hand, some of my posts and some of my things found its way onto the explore page for people who it probably should not have been found and or explored, that have not been kind. So I've been in the public eye long enough now to understand, like, while I'm appreciative and I love the fan support and like I can't thank them enough for being kind, I sort of have to you know, take that just as much as I take the hate. And it's just like it is an internet comment, it is a random person. While I can be appreciative, like if I give that any weight, I have to give hate some weight. So I've sort of have like this weird relationship now and this balance that I have to sort of internally do where it's like I don't look for validation online, because if I look for validation, the validation equals I'm going to have to take that hate with the same weight that I take that validation. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
that's just sort of how where I'm at right now. And look, that could all change next week, and my strategy on social media and how I handle it can change. But that's sort of where I'm at right now. Is I've sort of discovered like I don't really owe anybody anything. I'm going to continue to be public and push because I believe I want this side and this version and like what people see, like people need to see like what we're doing, just because I have, seen the hate that comes with it. And it's like sort of like, if not me, then who? So that's sort of where I'm at right now with it all. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. If you don't live by the praise of people, then you won't die by their criticism, I think is a
Exactly.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
totally. So that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I do think it's like one of the worst things ever when some of your content, when anybody's content gets to the wrong side of the internet and the people who
Yeah.
like hate that you exist and anything you're saying or standing for find you and then they just say everything that comes to mind. So you have had a bunch of hate come your way too.
Yeah, there's a few pictures and videos, especially when I do like a collab post with my husband that he hasn't been through what I've been through, and it weighs on him a little bit more. I turn the comments off just out of respect and out of respect for him, and what he doesn't deserve that. He didn't sign up for a reality show when he was in his young 20s, or mid 20s, whatever, however old I was. So yeah, there are a few, but I mean, look, you can go on and there was like a reel of me holding my son and right when he was born in the hospital and watching football, and that made it to the conservative, very extreme far right side of things. And people were shaming me for being in a hospital bed and all this. And it's like, we had our own room. Our surrogate had her own room. We gave birth at a birthing center, not a hospital. So it's not like I was taking a hospital bed. But like, once again, people don't actually like take a second to pause and think. They just throw and vomit hate. Um, but there's been a few videos that have gotten to the wrong people. And I think that sort of just gives me even more reason to continue to just post and share my life, because that's what people need to see, I think.
Yeah, I love that that's your response. I totally agree. And I think a big part of why this kind of bigotry and ignorance exists is because it's just so foreign to so many people. They just have such a
Totally.
separation, right?
Yep.
So I love that your response to this stuff is to just continue to be public and
For
loud
sure.
about it. Like I think it's a gift to the rest of us. I am curious because I'm kind of removed from the surrogacy IVF world, from the conservative hating side of your experience. What is their problem? What are they so upset about? Is it just that you're gay or what?
Oh, I mean, look, it's as extreme as being accused of child trafficking. I mean, like that's literally somebody try to draw a line and say that, it should be illegal, I should be in jail, all of these things for going through the proper steps of IVF and having a surrogate and an egg donor and an incredible team to help us along the way. I mean, there were people who basically were accusing us of, stripping this baby away from its mother. And um it's very extreme, and I think it's because of just hate in these people's hearts, and also just a lack of understanding basic humanity, one, and then human rights and human needs and equality. And I think like that's just like the main thing that's missing from those people. Well, I try not to focus on them. I mean, those are, people who at times I just feel like, um, really can't be changed. They're sort of like dying on that hill, and I feel sorry for them.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so oh,
But
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, but yeah, the most common one is people just don't understand that like our son has two dads, and he has an egg donor and a surrogate that are two incredible women. Um, I think I always try to say and give credit to like obviously our egg donor and our surrogate when I speak on this, whether it's at the whether on my podcast or whether on my social media, I always try to say like we've been very blessed with these two incredible women, one who gave her eggs and the other who sort of, gave us the opportunity to have a baby via her body and and through surrogacy. Um, I'm never trying to ever erase or undervalue women and their role in all of this. So I think that's the other thing too, is people sort of be like, you're trying to erase women. It's like, no, we're just trying to praise, and I'm trying to thank them for, I don't think I could ever thank them enough for the gift that they've given us. But that's just sort of the criticism and feedback from people who are a little more negative.
Yeah, totally. Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
God, I'm sorry. It's awful. Um, I'm curious, with the journey and just the human side of all this, I don't know, what would you say, whether it's advice or not, to like gay couples who are thinking about becoming parents? Like, what kinds of things would you say to them that maybe you wish you knew going into it, or good or bad, doesn't matter. Like, yeah, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think, you know, one, I would always encourage men to get tested. I think oftentimes when we talk about fertility, it's thrown onto women, and women get blamed for the struggles in fertility. When, my story specifically, I had, low sperm count slash no sperm when we first started. So I think that, my first thing is men get tested. And then for same sex couples, obviously if it's two women, like that's irrelevant, you don't have to go get your sperm tested. But yeah, I think that would be my advice for men. And then, just finding the right support system. It's a long emotional journey, and I think you should be prepared for it. It is not a traditional 9-month journey like it is for other people. You have to build a team. You have to have resources in place. You have to have support in place. And we were blessed and lucky to do that over 2 years.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah. When it comes to you guys just living your lives and being dads, I want to know like, um, is there one of you that's more like leader like directional about how things are organized, or do you guys kind of pick and choose, or how do you like decide dividing labor and what roles people take in this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think, we've sort of just played off of each other. I think we both have this really unique balance of masculine and feminine energy when it comes to parenting. And I think we both do things, well. I think, when it comes time to start, for example, like when it comes time to start solid foods, like Jordan's more of the cook and more sort of locked in and focused and dialed in on like purees and like introducing foods and at what months. And he does all the research and is analytical. Meanwhile, I'm over here like finding something, a trending thing on TikTok or Instagram. I'm like, we should try this. And it's like, I think we just have that balance of, structure and also like freedom, right? And I think that's been sort of the thing that I've loved the most about our relationship, and how it's even changed now being dads. Is we sort of just pick each other up. I'm really good in the mornings. I'm a morning person, and he loves his sleep. So I pride myself on my morning coffee time and my alone time with him in the mornings until Jordan starts his day, and he takes the last feed before bed. And I think we just we sort of fill in the gaps when we need to.
Yeah, cute. I love that. And is he in the phase where he's like crying and waking up in the middle of the night and you guys have to feed him?
He actually just slept through the night for the very first time, and we were so proud of him. It was great. It was euphoric, and his dads were his biggest cheerleaders in the morning.
Nice. So for a while there, you guys were having to get up every night and like feed him in the middle of the night.
Multiple times, yeah, yeah.
Was that
Worth it
brutal?
though. Yeah, but it's bonding too. I think it's just one of those things that you sort of um find just like this comfort in raising and creating a human being.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So how did you guys like just swap every other is like who's up for getting up to go feed him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like I'm more of like I said, I'm more of the morning person. So I think Jordan was sort of first up, and then I sort of, was the back end, the second
Okay.
shift. Yep.
Nice. Okay. That's awesome. And then when it comes to like babies, I know, sometimes it's a little too hard to tell. I'm thinking of like when my niece or my nephew were like at that age. You can kind of get a bit of a grid for their personality or like some of the
Totally.
things that, are intrinsic to them. Have you noticed anything about that with Bishop?
Oh yeah, I think Bishop definitely wants to be in the mix. He's going to be a social baby. He's going to be very happy. Um, he loves his food. He also loves his nap times like his dad's. So he has a full personality. And he really, I think around the 2.5, 3 month mark really came online. We finally like looked at each other like, oh wow, he is like a full on personality. We sort of know his tendencies now. We know what makes him upset. We know what he loves the most. He loves his bath time. He loves story time. He loves just smiling and being a happy baby. So yeah, definitely.
Nice. That's awesome. No, I also know depending on the couple, parenting can be really challenging, right? Like it can
Yeah.
be taxing emotionally, physically, obviously financially. Have you found that it has like been a taxing thing on you and Jordan, or has it brought you guys together, or how has having a kid like affected your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously brought us closer too. I mean, I think that's, first and foremost. And I think it just changed the dynamic, right? I think, I don't think of it as like eh, anything like holding us back, or it's just like now we are, we have another human being to be responsible for, right? So that just adds to the responsibility that we have and sort of just changes the structure and dynamic in our thought process. Um, Nothing is as simple as picking up and going and traveling anymore like we used to, but it just looks different. And I think we're really finding the beauty in that.
Yeah, nice. Love it.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so I also got I asked my personal Instagram audience if they had any questions they'd want me to ask you when we did this interview.
Amazing.
We got a few of them that I want to run by you. So somebody was asking, from coming out Colton, I got several people who are like, I don't have any questions, just tell him that his show changed my
Aw,
life. I'm so thankful for what he did. I came out around the same time. It was a lifesaver. There's lots of those messages.
yeah.
But somebody was asking after coming out Colton, are you like how have you changed since that show? And also specifically, are you still friends with Gus Kenworthy?
Yeah. I mean, look, there was so much to unpack after that show. Like, I think, I sort of was really nervous because I was receiving messages like that daily when the show first came out, and I still do to this day. And back then I just remember being like, oh, what did I do? Like I don't want to be a role model. I don't want people to look up to me. I'm not ready for this. Like what like I'm I was like, I'm barely gay at this point. Like I just came out. Like I'm new. I'm working on terminology. I'm scared of pronouns. Like there was so much for me to take. Like that was like the truth of how I felt. I was like, I have
Yeah.
not processed this. Do not call me like do not put me up there with anybody in the gay community. And now I sort of look back and I reflect, and while I still agree with at that time I was not ready, I just have learned so much. And my friend group is incredible. I've met so many incredible human beings that I never would have had the opportunity to. I'm free and happy and in love, and just like I'm living a life I never thought that I could live. So it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Love it.
Yeah.
And you and Gus?
Oh, Gus and I are cool. Yeah, he's traveling a lot right now, and but when he's back in town, yeah, he's lovely. Played obviously a big role in my life, and I couldn't thank him enough.
Yeah, nice. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, someone asked, they wanted to know, how was the process of surrogacy? Small question.
Long, yeah, really, really long. And I think I alluded to it before, but just you need to make sure you have the right support and resources, and that's the reason I did Daddyhood, my podcast. And if anybody is starting the fertility and or just curious of what goes into it, and you want a better understanding maybe of your son or daughter or somebody in your life that is going through this, and you might have you know some preconceived notions of what that looks like for same-sex couples or parents individuals doing surrogacy by themselves. I think we need to normalize, single dads, single moms who just want to have a child and want to have a family on their own. You can check out Daddyhood, the podcast, and we sort of go step by step. I have everything from my fertility lawyer on to my fertility doctor on to sperm donor kids to egg donor kids to surrogates. Obviously, there's a few celebrity couples that come on, some food experts. It's a really diverse and cool season. It's really in the weeds of fertility, so I'm just warning you there. And also, there's some incredible companies that join me, CEOs, people who are innovating in the space. I always like to highlight sort of the tech sector and like what's new and how people are pushing the boundaries. So there's some great episodes. I think we're over 30 episodes in season one. So if you want to go check that out, it's a fun catalog.
Love it. That's a very robust answer to that question.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
we'll, yeah, we'll provide the link to that down below. So if people want to get into it, that's awesome. I love that resource is out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. So good. Okay, you mentioned when you were new gay, you were kind of afraid of pronouns. One of the questions that came in through my Instagram questions was, what would you say to trans people right now? Obviously, there's a lot going on in America with this new president, and the trans community specifically are being very targeted.
Yeah.
What would you say to that community?
I mean, I think the Grammys were just on, and I think Gaga and there was a few artists that sort of recognized it and was like, "You are seen." I would just reiterate that and just like there is no world in which you as a human being are not valued and seen in our society, despite what people want to say, despite erasing labels and pronouns and all sorts of things from government websites. Um, it's shocking, and I think it's really taking a lot of people some time to like understand it. But I just want to let that community know that you are seen, you are loved, and we're gonna have your back.
Yeah, love it. So true. Cool. And then same question, different direction. What would you say to allies right now?
Shoot. I consider obviously like I feel like I'm an ally to the trans community right now, but I would just say like we really have to do our part. We really have to sort of step up. We really have to, I think I've mentioned this a couple times with you, is just we have to stay patient. I think it's so easy to lean into getting loud and mad and yelling, and that's what they want, right? So my role and what I've always sort of prided myself on is being able to even though I can extremely disagree with somebody, I will still have a conversation. I still will engage with you as long as I'm being met with some respect. So I think like I would just challenge people to be patient with themselves, be patient in conversations with people who are much different from you, because you might just be the start to letting them understand and or seeing a human being on the other side.
Nice. Love it. Okay, so this feels also kind of adjacent to that other question, but what do you do? This is one of the questions that came in. What do you do with Christian nationalists in your life?
Oh gosh, I think faith is such a simple but yet complex thing, right? For me, it's simple, but I feel like for other people, they get caught up in words and Bible verses and the complexity of like what their religion is. And I that's why I'm really shying away from structured and organized religion. I feel like it is really dangerous to our faith community and to Christians and what I believe is Christians. And I hear it all the time when I speak on this or share this is, well, your definition of Christianity, like you're not allowed to have a definition because it's already written in the Bible what it is. And it's like, yeah, you should go reread that, because the way that I read it and understood it is how I'm perceiving it and how I'm going to take it and run with it. Um, so I think there's a level in which the Bible is being weaponized right now. Take that however you want. And I think you should just protect yourself in a way that feels good and authentic to you. And what feels good and authentic to me is just knowing and staying grounded in my faith and what my faith means to me, what my faith means to other people, like how I project my faith to other people and how I'm not judgmental of people of other faiths, because that's their faith and their journey and what they believe in. And I respect that. So I think that it's a simple but yet complex thing.
Yeah,
Said
totally.
with love. Said with love. Right.
Okay, this I did not think I was going to ask you this, Colton, but it's coming up for me. I don't know if you've seen this, but in the right wing evangelical sector, there's this, I don't know if it's a trend or if it's this new thing that's
Yeah.
going to stick around, but they're coining this phrase toxic empathy and claiming that empathy is sin and that it's unbiblical to be empathetic for certain things. Have you seen that going around?
I haven't, but I mean, I've been hit with similar phrases in my comment section.
So how do you in your journey, in your experience, metabolize messages like that? How do you make sense of people coming at you saying that empathy is a sin or that crying for mercy is like unbiblical, right? Like, how do you make sense of people
I
coming at you like
mean, I just have the understanding that everybody's on their own journey, and whatever you have to convince yourself in your brain is your defense mechanism for the projection that you're putting on to me and or other people. And I think that's sort of like my first step in understanding like where is this coming from? Because like this is not the same faith that I feel. So I think that's like the first understanding, and then just realizing like you can wish them the best. They're going through something that you can never understand. And you know, I hated it because people used to always say this to me, but it's where they're just like, I'm praying for you. And it's like, great, I'm praying for you too. in in
that?
a in a much different way, but same, different. And I think like
Right.
there's never a right or wrong answer. It's sort of how you're doing and what's going to protect you in that moment. But I think, this year is all about protecting my peace, and I'm going to do that however that looks, and it's going to be different on different days, different on different weeks, months, hours, minutes, whatever it might look like. I don't want to ever speak in definitives because I might change my mind, right? So I'm just trying to protect the peace and do what's best for me in the moment.
Yeah, love that. Okay, cool. So given your public life and you've been doing this for a few years now, I want to ask you, where does the resilience come from for you to, because I think sharing your journey of becoming a dad and then sharing your son on the internet is such a vulnerable thing, right? Like to just like let the world see such a precious and beautiful and important part of your life. Where
Yep.
does the resilience, where do you get the resilience to like just continue to push through despite obvious, horrific, hate and bigotry along all of the beauty and support?
Just understanding my path and like the purpose behind what I went through. And I think like understanding that my purpose now is to try my best to lead and to put out there what, at times I felt like I didn't see, and whether that was my fault for not seeing it and or the lack of people out there leading. Who knows? But I just feel like now I have an opportunity to connect with people who are on or have been on similar paths or are going to be on a similar path than what I was on. So I think just, trying to keep my chin up, my head up, and even during the hard times, sharing some of those. And, it's not easy and it's not fun and it doesn't feel good to share and amplify hate when I receive it, but I just want to make sure people see it, right? I think, it, at times people can just wish that went away, but it doesn't. And if people don't speak up and people don't see it and people don't like understand how to react to it, we can't really learn from it and move on. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. I love that. Cool. So I want to ask you, have you ever, before you and Jordan got together, so after you were out, before you were Jordan, did you ever end up getting a crush for a straight guy?
Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like especially when I was closeted.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, are you talking about your gym crush? I keep up with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have tips and advice for your gym crush because
well, I
you are
was gonna
not.
ask you questions that, like pretending it was somebody else, and now I
Oh
just
no,
feel
no, no, no,
very
no. I'm
exposed.
I'm I'm invested in this just as many of your followers are. Um, you have been slacking, and I think it's an avoidance thing, and I think it's like a denial thing. But you just need to like you need to tell yourself you are a catch and you have to put yourself out there. And even if he says no, just know maybe a month from now he might have the courage to say yes. So I'm calling you out. I think the next time there's an opportunity where he says he's not doing anything this weekend, you say, "Oh, actually, I have something that you should do," and that's like, let's go get coffee.
You're saying I should do that
Does
even if I don't know that he's gay?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's low stakes. You go have coffee, and then you figure it out in the first couple minutes of the coffee.
Yeah. Wow. Nice. Colton, I
And
am.
even here's what I would challenge you is even if he says he's straight, he took that coffee with you for a reason. Stick with it. I'm not saying chase a straight man. Like I'm not saying that. Like do not waste your time with that. But who knows? You might just gain a friend out of it too. But yes, we are invested in your gym crush.
We as in you and Jordan?
Well, I mean, well, I don't know if Jordan's been.
Oh, just the
I just have
world.
had thoughts. The world, yeah. I mean, I definitely see other people on your social media that is just like, "What are you doing,
Yeah.
Mike? He left the door wide open for you, and you closed it."
Yeah. I haven't been this berated in a long since I came out.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just
No,
challenging
not.
you with love.
I am shocked. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. That's fair. I am gonna probably see him at the gym today, and I will take your advice to heart, and I will try
Great.
and use that as like fuel to make some scary decisions. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just say, hey, if you ever want to like grab a shake after a workout or like, go get a coffee before, like, let me know. I'm around.
Did you ever do that with straight guys?
Yeah, I mean, not with straight guys, but with Jordan, I definitely
Oh.
made the first move.
Oh.
I
But
was,
you
I
never.
always, I always sort of say like, despite what people might think is me wasting time on The Bachelor, like it really taught me to be intentional with dating. So like, I didn't really beat around the bush. I didn't play games. I mean, I have a lot of friends right now that are single, and like, weird right now, and not only in the gay community, just in dating in general. Like it's so easy to ghost people. It's so easy to not be personal with them that like you have an opportunity to have an in real life start to a relationship potentially. Take it. Don't leave it up to these apps. Don't leave it up to like go people ghosting you and leaving you on red. Like this is an in real life connection. Shoot your shot.
I
And
am.
if you miss, you're gonna have other shots to take down the road. And this is practice.
Yeah. Great. I'm sweating. Hilarious. Thank you. It's great.
Of course. Of course.
I was not expecting that. That's so funny. I had this whole plan of like just asking you some gym crush questions, just like thinking that this would be about somebody else.
Oh no, no, no. You're
Just
not.
called out.
You wouldn't get that past me.
Totally called out. That's hilarious. Wow, I'm derailed. Oh my God. I was gonna ask you something else and I can't even think straight anymore, but thank you.
Of course.
And actually several questions on my Instagram, whatever, people were like, ask about the gym crush. And I was like, oh God. That's funny. Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
Um,
And I'm going to stay invested in this, by the way. So there will be a follow up DM. So you can expect that.
great. Great. The accountability is welcome. Thank you for that.
Love it.
I'm sweating. So I want to ask, okay, we're shifting gears. Now that you and Jordan are both dads and your life obviously has altered and your schedule is different, the way you manage your resources and time is different. What do you guys do for fun now?
Hike. We love taking a little like yesterday. We went on a hike with the dogs and then went out to lunch and spend time with our family and our friends. Park days, a lot of like family friendly activities. But we definitely still have our date nights out. Grandma and grandpa come to the house and help us with Bishop, and we have some support and some help there and other places. But yeah, I think that, and then travel. Like we're getting ready to do one of our first trips with him. So um sorry, my dog's barking in the background if you hear
That's
that.
fine.
But yeah, I just we still find like joy in like little simple things, walks around the neighborhood. I know that sounds so basic and boring, but it's like yeah, it's great.
Yeah. No, listen, I go on walks around the neighborhood and I don't have a partner or a kid.
Yep.
Um, that's awesome. And then I also wanted to ask, sorry, I'm going to close my
You
blinds.
don't have
I'm
a
going to
partner yet.
right.
Pending later tonight after the gym, you might.
Right, I'm working on that. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay, so I'm also curious with the new daddy part of your life. Um, what do you guys not do anymore now that you used to do?
Um, that's actually a great question that you might have me stumped on. I mean, I do feel like at this age specifically, like we just strap into our chest and go where we need to go. I mean, obviously there's boundaries, like we get help and have somebody come watch them if we're going out to a bar or like for dinner. But I mean, I don't know. I just think like the one thing is just like everything sort of is going to look different. We add +1 to everything we do, but we're
Yeah.
sort of keeping our same lives and schedules and work and all that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no one has to worry about like not drinking because of the breast milk. That's not a problem
Oh,
here.
that's not a problem. No, but I mean, look, there are like things for us that are important. Like even if we have a night out drinking, like we won't go into his nursery if we're like a little buzzed. Like we're big on energy and big on just keeping ourselves like that's at least a rule that I have, and I know Jordan has a similar one too. Is like I don't ever want to be even buzzed in front of my child, so just something that like we're sort of being mindful of.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, I did not think I was going to ask you this, but I'm curious, just again from the lifestyle shift. Are there certain relationships, however like far out they were, that you actually had to let go of because of how like occupying being a parent became?
definitely. I think that though that happened even into the lead up. It's just sort of
Oh,
understanding that our lives were going to be looking different. I think Jordan and I both had conversations of just being a little more intentional with our time and who we're spending our time with. Um, doesn't mean we don't like or respect those people. It's just like, and also I believe like friendships sort of come and go for reasons and seasons and different things. So, yeah, definitely.
yeah. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then, as well, Colton, with you being public and, saying things out loud that people aren't going to like, and you also, part of your brand in my head is that you are a compassionate person who keeps the door open, right? And like stays closer to the fence and allows people to be where they are and not have to like have a hard no to them.
Yeah.
In your journey since you've been out, have you seen, I know this is probably true beyond your awareness, but have you seen in your own personal proximity and experience people who are oppositional to you and then through whatever they like changed their mind and like came around?
Yeah, I mean, I won't say who this was
Yeah.
in my life, and I think there's certain things I think you and I can relate on, and I just know your story, and I never want to like make you talk about something you don't want to, but like you're going through something with a family member, that is like challenging. And what
Yeah.
I would say, and has happened in my life, is it's okay for you to take a year off of that relationship. Like I've taken a year off from a relationship in my life, and then sort of revisited it and said, hey, like things have changed and like I would love to reconnect. And, I know we might not see eye to eye, but I want to tell you what I heard about this and X, Y, and Z. And um that's happened. And I think like I was shocked by it too, because like at the time it feels so fresh and you're just like, I don't know if we're ever gonna speak again.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where you're just like, okay, like I need to reach back out. I need to see if, if there's been any shift. I would like to reconnect just to like gauge if this feels good and feels right at this time. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a break in both friendships and our relationships if they're family too. Because it's not
Yeah.
healthy. It's not serving you. It's not serving them. Nobody's getting anything out of it other than just like growing frustrated. So you might as well just like have a break. You don't need to define it. I just don't want to talk for a while and see how that feels.
Yeah. When you came around, you're like, okay, I'm ready to talk to this person again or revisit this. Were they receptive?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so I think like that, and look, that might not always be the case.
Yeah.
And there might be a version of it in which it like hurts them even more and wants they want to put even more distance between it. But I don't know. I'm like part of me is it's like, well then if like time can't heal, then what can, right? Like you're doing yourself a disservice by staying in that relationship because it takes so much energy to maintain it. And
Mm.
also it just is a really hard relationship to have, not only on you, but probably imagining it on them as well, for whatever reason that might be that you don't understand. So I mean, that's just sort of like the hard truth is like, I would rather not have a relationship with somebody and like feel better about myself and revisit it later on than like keep limping through and or pretending like I don't want to pretend. I pretended for how many years? Like, I don't want to pretend to get along and agree and like you. So just like give me some time.
Yeah, totally. I feel so pretending averse at this point, and I'm like, is it a reaction to the closet, maybe?
I mean, yeah, it's probably trauma too. Like it's probably a little bit of like I'm not going back in the closet, whatever that closet might metaphorically mean. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not faking this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to fake getting along with you. I don't want to see you just on holidays and or text you on your birthday. Like, let's just have a clean break for a while and see how it feels. If you miss me and if
Nice.
I miss you, then we can revisit.
Yeah, nice. I like it. And partially, probably, I'm sure the part of the reason they were like receptive was because you didn't burn the bridge when you took a break.
No, and I think like there was a clear conversation too that I had that I was like, okay, like that's fine. Then let's take some time.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Thanks. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a question I did not think I was going to ask you, but I am curious on the faith side of your, and please feel free to veto if you don't want to talk about this, but
No, you're good.
has Bishop, the whole process and then having Bishop in your life, has that impacted your relationship with God? And if so, how?
No, not really. I mean, I think one thing that I'm gonna do though is I'm like, as we raise him, we're not raising him in a specific religion. I think I'm gonna explain to him just because even like Jordan and I aren't like Jordan is not like a diehard Christian, right? And he's not, as I don't even want to say faithful. He has his own views and his own values, and like we agree on a lot of things. But I think I just we're gonna be slow and patient and explain to Bishop the options out there and see what he's into.
Yeah, nice. That's interesting. Like my niece is 5, right? And she's being raised without any kind of religious structure or direction or whatever. And I think right now she does not know what God is.
Yeah,
Doesn't have a concept of that, right? We were
yeah,
at a toy shop and there was this like it was like a collector's thing, and then there was a pocket of the store that was like a Halloween whatever, and there was like a demon sitting in the corner. And
yeah,
she like wasn't scared of these like kind of ghoulish, and some of them were a little bloody and fangy. I was like, oh God, I don't think we should be in this room. And she pointed this thing. She's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, that's a devil, like a demon. She's like, what's a devil? I was like a
yeah.
demon. She's like, what's a demon? I was like, oh my God. By 5 years old, I had all these answers already, right? I'm like, what were
Right.
they thinking? I was like, do you know what hell is? She's like, no. I was like, oh, you know what? It's just a scary monster. It's
You're
fine.
taking her innocence away.
Oh no, I
Let
didn't.
her
I was like,
let her
this is
live in
not my
that.
place to have this
Yeah, you're like
conversation with this child. We just let it go.
yeah, you're like I am not your parent. I cannot explain this to you then.
Yeah, it was funny though. I was like, whoa, she's 5 and has no concept for any of this. And by the
Totally
time I was 5, I was already terrified by these things, you know? So
incredible.
interesting little shift there. Dang, I had one more question I wanted to ask you before we started landing this plane, and I lost it, and it was important to me. No. Oh,
What?
oh, good.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you what you're hitting today in the gym. Is it like
I'm gonna hit
biceps,
chest today.
triceps?
I'm
Okay,
hitting chest, and
great.
chest.
Chest is
Um,
a great day to like really put yourself out there too.
I think that I agree. I think
You get the
that's true.
adrenaline and then endorphins running, and you're good to go.
God. I'm
And
actually
also, like I'm just saying, like most of the time when you do chest, you do bench press, and if you go to the gym by yourself, you need somebody to spot you, and just like fun things can start from somebody spotting somebody on the bench press. For the audio listeners, you can Google what a bench press is and what a spotter is and where the spotter positions itself during the bench press. You're
Oh
welcome.
my God. This is all genius advice, Colton. Brilliant. Of
Yeah.
course, no wonder you're not single anymore.
All I'm going to say is your followers are going to love this advice. I think most of them will be on my side.
Hmm.
There might be one or two that tell you to play it cool, but I've never played anything cool in my life. If I like somebody or if I want to go for it, I just do it.
I love that. Listen, that is inspiring to me. I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
actually am currently dreading going to the gym today. I'm actually heading there as soon as we're done here. So that's
amazing.
okay. I remembered my thank you. That's great. I will
Yeah,
consider all of it. My question for you though is this is on the politics side of things. Jordan's job and his like history and work experience, I think he's been heavily involved in politics, right?
yeah.
Whereas you, that's not necessarily been your wheelhouse or focus. When you got together with Jordan and as you guys got closer, did you feel intimidated by like politics or the conversation around politics, having a partner who's so educated and invested in that arena?
I don't know if I felt intimidated. Um, I think he said it before. He's said that I've made him better at his job because I do challenge him a lot. Um, I've attended dinners that were all top Democratic leadership and or celebrities and or advocates, and I've been one to raise my hand at that and say, I'm not a Democrat. I'm in the middle. What do you have to say to me? Because there's millions of people like me that come from a conservative background but don't identify with the Republican Party, but don't really understand and get the strategy of like what the left is trying to do. So like I'm in the middle. Where how can you meet me here? Like what do you have to say to me? And it's weird because some of these politicians don't have answers for that, and or like they get back into their speaking or talking points for the left. I'm like, you already have them on board. Like everybody else at this table agrees with you and is on the same page with you. But like, what about me? And I think like I just say that story because I think that is sort of like the definition of like how we help each other and help we learn from each other. And I do that to family members who are on the right. I sit there and I just listen to them, and then I explain to them what I learned at this dinner that I sat with the Democrats and my husband and these leaders that like I believe in what they're saying and what they're trying to do. I just sometimes the messaging could be a little sloppy. But anyway, I say all of that because I'm not intimidated. I've always wanted to learn. I'm not always the most educated, but it's like this simple like lesson of like what is right. Like that's sort of always just like
Mm.
how what feels right, what feels good, what aligns with my values and my morals. That's what side I'm on. Like and like I hate even saying that there has to be a side in that, but the current state of our politics, there is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question fully, but like yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very complicated genre, workforce, whatever you want to call it these days.
Totally. No, that's
Yeah.
great. And the B side of this question for me is, have you and Jordan ever gotten to a conversation around politics where it got tense and you guys like, weren't really sure how to move forward in that space because
Oh no, there's never been a moment where like, and I'm a big believer in like I don't feel like politically I could ever get like with him too, especially guess I shouldn't say that because there are times where I like aggressively disagree with people on the right. But like typically, even like my husband specifically, we never would get into a heating thing. I think we would just explain to each other like I grew up on an old dairy farm in a very conservative small town in Illinois. He grew up in an oil field up in central, like so we have very similar backgrounds. He just went up to Stanford, and then became really really good at democratic strategy. And I went to a small state school university and stayed pretty much in like middle America, rural, right-leaning towns. So like I grew up with those people and just have this understanding of like if I didn't have the locker room in football, I wouldn't have as much of an understanding of like the melting pot of cultures and diversity. But since I had that experience, I get, I get the understanding of like what makes our country great and what, exclusive like inclusivity and exclude like all of that, what it looks like.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you definitely answered my question. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Oh, Colton, I always love talking to you. Thank you for sharing all this and being on the show.
Of course.
What are you up to these days that people can be involved in? What should we like point them to get involved in your world?
Yeah. Well, last year was a very personal year for me, just with, coming off of, everything with coming out Colton, getting into a relationship, really taking my time with it and having and building my family. This year is a lot more professional stuff coming out. I have, a few shows that I've been developing. I'm returning to TV this year. So that's going to be fun in a different way. I'll be hosting, but
Oh,
yeah, so there's like some fun things coming out. That way, I just think like I've really sort of found my footing and my path. And there's a few other surprises along the way that I'll tease people with. As just definitely sharing parts of me just in new ways.
okay. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we, I have to ask this, and it's okay if the answer is no, but can we know like what you're going to be hosting?
Nope, not yet. um, look, I've signed too many NDAs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my penalty would be too great to leak that. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and also is just really authentic to me.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Is your Daddyhood podcast still going?
It is, and we will be making a special announcement around that soon as well. So
Oh my God. Well, we'll at
making
least have your podcast link in the show notes below this
yes,
episode so people can follow along there. And then also we'll put your Instagram as well so people can
amazing.
watch your family as you guys go through the journey. Colton, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me. You'll be getting a DM from me either later tonight or tomorrow morning about your bench press situation.
Great.
That
I
I'm not even
will.
going to call him a gym crush anymore. It's just today is I'm ripping the band-aid off. It's your bench press situation. So make it
Oh
happen. You can only make it happen on chest days. So it's if it's not this Monday, it's gonna have to be next.
no. Okay.
Actually, that's not true. He could spot you squatting too.
Oh my God.
So there we go.
Great.
Just
Thank you. I
lift
look.
heavy so you need a spot. It's okay to fail, metaphorically and physically.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Great. I'm uncomfortable again. Thank you. This is great. I love stretching and growing. This is awesome.
Great.
Yeah, Colton, thanks for being on the show. And
Well, if
I'll.
there's anybody who can help get you along, go along the journey, it's me. So here we go. I'm invested. I'm in this now.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, I'll see you in the DMs. And everyone else,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.